Raw and Nerdy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw and Nerdy. This is episode number 56. I am Joe the Widget, and I am joined by my fellow co-host, the nerd extraordinaire, Archon.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
I can
We
talk
got
tonight.
just the two of us tonight, so yeah, you get to listen to our sultry voices all night long.
Rook is working. It's his weekend to work. Yeah,
Unfortunately.
he couldn't make it in. And I know that feeling. I worked all weekend. I've worked the last 7 days straight, and I have 5 more to go.
Yeah, I worked 5, but it was a doozy. So.
Yeah, I don't even want to know how many hours I put in. I think it was 70-something.
Yeah, I didn't put into that many, but...
Still, though, working your 12-hour shifts, 4 nights in a row, 4 days in a row?
Yeah, and then...
That's hard on anybody.
9 the last day, but I went from not working hardly at all, like 20 to 22 hours a week, to suddenly 55 hours in 5 days. Yeah, it took its toll, that's for sure. I mean, I have a very physically demanding job, so oof.
A lot more than mine. Mine's more mentally demanding.
Yeah.
I get way more mentally exhausted than physical during my job. And with this election stuff, it's been rough. I cannot wait for Wednesday because I know that I'm going to be working anywhere from 12 to 16 hours on Tuesday.
Gross.
Yeah. And when I found out something interesting today at work, talking to some of my friends, my coworkers, and they were saying how they get some of the non-exempt salary. They're all getting something extra for working this weekend. But the exempt salary, so IT, we get nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, You guys just get to work.
Because we're not a part of the employee union.
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it wasn't optional. It was definitely required. But thankfully, I didn't have to do door knocking. I just had to do IT support for the entire state.
Right.
Which wasn't that bad.
That's good.
I got to watch football this morning while I worked. That was fun.
Yeah.
And, yell at my little personal laptop as the Bills played terrible.
Hey, my Vikings aren't playing so hot right now either, so I'm going to try not to randomly yell during this broadcast, but I can't guarantee anything.
Ignore the random comments coming from Archon.
Yeah, especially if they're not nice.
I really need to...
I said they're not directed at our fans. They're directed
No.
Purely at the guys in purple on the field.
I need to wake up.
Or the guys in black and white.
I've been lethargic as all get out since I got home. I need to wake up and do the show.
Yeah.
Then I can go to bed.
Took a little dip in my hot tub earlier while I was watching the Lions-Packers game, and that was nice.
Jealous.
Football plus hot tub.
Yeah, I would have loved that. So, what made this week even harder was the fact I had to go out to San Diego Wednesday night and had to work there Halloween day to cover, and I drove home that Thursday night. They almost had me stay until Friday night, but thankfully it didn't happen because I had to be in Bakersfield, which is an hour and 20 minutes away, my main office, all weekend. They wanted me to stay until Tuesday night in Bakersfield, but nope.
You're like, nah, I'm good on that.
I need one day at home. I'll work in the office all day Tuesday. I mean, still working tomorrow full day, but working from home.
Yeah, I mean, that's good at least. I wish I could work from home, but my job does not allow that. Unfortunately, I have to, Mondays for me, a normal day I'm there from 8 o'clock until usually when the truck is ready to go, which is 8 o'clock p.m. So that's my normal day. But on Mondays, we start early. So we start at 7 o'clock. So
hey, there's my best friend's face.
Till 8 o'clock. Yeah. So it's 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock. And this week, we're rolling out a whole new system. They want us to roll out this brand new system of how we scan all of our packages, deliver all of our packages, everything. Brand new system coming out 2 weeks before our peak season. So this should be fun. I mean, It actually looks like from the training and stuff we did, it looks like it's going to make things easier. But we have a lot of people that have been careers at our business that have been there for 25 years who are old and aren't good with change. And you're changing their whole world 2 weeks before the busiest time of the year. So
that's not smart. They need to roll out those changes several months before the end of the year.
Yeah, it makes more sense. But they're kind of in the process of I work for Express, and they're kind of in the process of merging Express and Ground together. And this is the system that Ground uses, so
okay.
Now we get to start.
Is that going to change your job at all, or is it just going to be on the corporate side?
Like the merger or the program?
The merger.
Not really. They're shutting down some express offices and just merging it into the ground. Ours is a very high producing place, so even if they did shut ours down, it would be years and years down the line because we just service too big of an area for them to shut us down. So I think we'll still be all right.
I'm gonna do a little PSA really quick here. We're not gonna get into politics, but I just want to remind everybody to get out there and vote. You have today, from the time you're listening to this, and tomorrow to get it done. I'm doing it Monday because I won't be able to on Tuesday.
Yeah, I did it yesterday or Saturday. So your vote is important. It doesn't matter who you want to vote for. I mean, you do your own research, you make your own choice, but make sure you vote because your vote does matter and it does count. Especially
when it comes to the propositions and things like that really do count.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that our presidential election is kind of when it comes to the public, but there's a lot of other things like your local government and propositions of your state and things like that can really make a difference based on your vote.
Get out there, do your part. Your vote does count. Get it in.
Anyway, last week you mentioned the Trump interview that Joe Rogan did on his podcast.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, you recommended it. So when I was driving to San Diego, my 3-hour and 15-minute drive, I listened to it in its entirety.
Yeah.
And I was actually very entertained.
It is very entertaining. I have not listened to, I guess J.D. Vance did one as well, and he went on the show. They tried to get Kamala Harris to go on the show as well, but her stipulation was he had to come to her, and he doesn't do that, so. He's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, so, she probably knew that already. But anyway, it was cool. It was cool how
they did the
Joe
J.D.
wanted
Vance
to...
one. What?
I was gonna say was that it was cool how Joe tried to keep it as like a personal conversation and not an interview per se about politics, for instance. Politics definitely came up, but he tried touching on just basic stuff with Trump, getting him into just a normal conversation throughout.
Yeah, it was neat to hear some of like his experiences and stuff, and like how like his first thoughts of when he first got to the White House and stuff, and how he was just in awe of the Lincoln Room and stuff like that. Like, just that kind of stuff was really cool.
He called it a sacred ground or something like that.
Yeah, the Lincoln bedroom. But yeah, it's a good listen. If you haven't listened yet, you should. It's good to listen to.
And I started listening to another episode that Joe was doing beforehand because I had time. And the first thing they mentioned is that Joe brought up the fact that he had an interview with Dr. Brian Cox. So I had to stop that one that I was listening to and go listen to that one.
Yeah.
Dr. Brian Cox is my favorite physicist, and when it comes to the science world, I think he's one of the more brilliant minds out there. He mostly does particle physics, but he talks a lot about astronomy. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Wigit told me this the other day, and the first thing that came to mind was, wow, I've never heard of anybody having a favorite physicist before. That's
right.
This is why we do a show called Raw and Nerdy.
If you've ever, well, I love sciences. It's just my thing, it's my world. But if you can ever get a chance, just look up Brian Cox and look up one of his live, I don't want to say lectures, if you will, or demonstrations of when he does astronomy. It's incredible. You learn more about space in that little bit of time he talks than you probably have in the last 30 years of life. And he does it, and the way that Brian talks is he talks not down, but he talks in a way like how, like for instance, when I'm talking to my employees about what's going on with their IT needs, basically, I don't tell them in IT dialect. I put it in terms that they know and understand, so it's easier for them.
Don't use jargon.
Yeah, Brian does the same thing. When he's talking about particle physics, or I can't even talk right now. I do a podcast. Or astronomy, he talks about it in such a way that makes it very, very easy to understand without making you feel stupid.
That's always a positive. I don't like to feel stupid
it.
when somebody's talking about something that I don't really know about.
Yeah. So look him up. Dr. Brian Cox. He's a British professor, and the guy is really, really, really good. He had a book out there that I started listening to, actually. I got halfway through it. I still want to finish it. It's called The Quantum Universe. It's about quantum physics, really, and the principles behind it. I've learned so much about quantum physics than listening to half of that book than I ever have, not even in college. So it's definitely worth checking out.
I watched a movie like that. It was called Ant-Man.
Yep. Close enough. Not.
Close enough. I'm sure they did that whole movie based off of Dr. Brian Cox's research.
Oh, dude, I wanted to bring this up with you because I know your stance on aliens and things like that. But at near the end of the interview with Trump, I don't know if you heard it, but he tried getting Trump to tell him about the government and aliens.
Oh gosh. See, I haven't finished it. I only watched like the first maybe just over 2 hours of it.
So you're just
So
short of that part.
I did not get into the aliens.
It was
Joe
hilarious.
Rogan is quite the conspiracy theorist.
Oh, big time, and especially when it comes to aliens, because both Trump and Brian Cox, he tried to persuade them to get into that conversation. He was trying to trap them verbally with it, and both of them subverted it completely. Brian was very good about it.
Trump, of course, was like, listen, if there were aliens, I would know about aliens. They would be my friends. They would like me. Everyone loves me.
I talked to the best pilots ever. They were such good guys. Handsome fellas.
Such good guys. Not like the guys who are in right now, but much better.
Much better. The best. I was laughing so hard at that. Oh, Trump, you're maybe an amazing businessman, but please learn how to talk properly. Yeah. And for fun, because after listening to Brian Cox, I looked up some questions I had about our solar system. First thing I want to know was how many moons we have, because I never knew that. I looked it up, and we actually have 293 known moons in our planet, around our planets. I knew there was a ton around Saturn, but I didn't know there was 146.
Oh, man.
Or 95 around Jupiter. I think they said something like 10 or 12 of them that could support life. And one more interesting little fact, which I think is interesting anyway, is there's 470 moons that are not orbiting planets, but instead they're orbiting asteroids and dwarf planets in our solar system.
Huh.
Yeah. And then I got in that rabbit hole. Okay, I know we have dwarf planets. I know there's more than just Pluto. Well, there's a whole conversation there. So I looked it up, and we have 5 that we know of. Pluto, Aries, Ceres, Makemake, and Haumea, I think it's the pronunciation of it, and the edge of our solar system. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, my rabbit hole.
For fun, I just decided to look up moons.
I was curious.
And then I saw one moon, but that was no moon. It was a space station.
Have you ever seen the space station?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that one thing that looks like a star, but travels way too fast to be a star.
Yeah, it just kind of like zooms around. Passes by every like 6 minutes or 8 minutes or something like that. You can look up and start seeing it going by again.
Yep.
It's like really quick.
Still playing Borderlands 2 for a little bit of, I think I got maybe 6 hours of game time in this entire week. And that entire time I was playing Borderlands 2. I should have been playing Starfield, but yeah, I wanted Borderlands 2. It was quick, easy, funny, and I absolutely love that game.
Because it's amazing.
Those characters are crazy. And there's this one point in the game where you can basically farm for legendaries, no matter what your playthrough. It's in the wildlife preserve, and there's a quest that Tannis gives you to find these like data pads. So you have to get this quest to find the data pads in the wildlife preserve, but you ignore the data pads. And when you get to a specific point, right before you go find Bloodwing in the holding set pins, there's a spot that has 4 boxes in there that you can open up. If you don't get any of the pads, you'll find 4 loot midgets come out of those boxes every single time. You can save, reload, go back in there, get them every single time. But if you get 1 data pad, there'll only be 3 in there. So they could directly correlate to how many data pads that you pick up.
Interesting.
So in late game, when you're doing like playthrough 2 or 3, you can find the artifacts from them.
Yeah, I did not know that.
My luck's so terrible that I did that 5 times and got 2 legendaries. Both the same submachine gun with just different traits.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, your luck is trash.
It's the worst ever. My brother came in, I've been playing Borderlands 2 and I found 7 legendaries in the first 2 hours. I had a couple of middle fingers for him. I think I found 1 legendary or 2 legendaries at the very beginning of the game, and that was it. Other than the loot midgets. And there's one thing that I gotta get in that game. I gotta find the B shield. Gotta have it. That's how you do ultimate damage.
Okay. I don't remember that shield.
It's basically, do you remember the roid shields where if your shield depletes, you do insane amount of melee damage? It's like that, but for bullets. So when it depletes, you do like 4 or 5 times bullet damage. And you shoot 3 or 4 times faster.
Oh.
So a fast, heavy machine gun can just wreck things, but you won't have a shield.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's worth it because you kill them so fast you don't need it.
Hey, go glass cannon on them. Okay.
Oh, and I started watching the new season of Lower Decks. Absolutely hilarious. My favorite cartoon. It's just the best.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of those Star Wars shows that you guys are all into. I
Star
should.
Trek.
Star Trek, that's what I meant. Star Trek. I thought about watching Strange New Worlds, but there's so many. I'm watching too many things, and I don't have enough time to watch the ones I got. So I still haven't finished the last 2 episodes of Rings of Power yet. So
I've only watched the first episode of that. I haven't watched any actual TV series in a while. I've been too wrapped up in just watching stupid YouTube videos to go to sleep at night. It's the only time I have time.
yeah, I've been I've been doing the thing that I hate more than anything else. I've been watching Superman and Lois as each episode releases instead of waiting and watching them all at once. So like I don't like doing that because like I am not a patient man. So now I gotta wait for a whole week before I can watch the next one, like old school television shows, and I'm spoiled not having to do that anymore. So now when I'm actually doing it, it's driving me bananas. I just want to know what's gonna happen. I have been watching that though. It is getting really good. It's the final season of the show, so it's like it's like my last book. I've been listening to that a lot now that I've been back on the road, but it's so long. This last book is so long, but it's so good. It's just like one big giant war.
You're still on that book?
Yeah. Yeah, I still got like 20 hours left too, which is insane. Like I've listened, I feel like I'm like, wow, this should be wrapping up soon, and I look and I still have like 20 hours left.
Hey, book 4 of my favorite series is coming out in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The Beware of Chicken series.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm amazed by this book though, because it's like the whole series they talk about what's known as the last battle. And then the last book obviously is the last battle, and it's like right now it's like this massive war going on 4 different fronts, and it's just huge and it's awesome, and like it's really cool. I'm enjoying it a lot, and the way it's all coming together is
Waiting for that big finale when it all finalizes.
I'm still waiting for like some people that I don't want to die to just randomly die and then make me mad, but it hasn't happened yet, so that's good.
I'm still
But
reading. I'm still narrating my book.
yeah, I saw you put out another chapter the other day.
Yeah, I have another one coming out Tuesday, and I gotta read the one for Thursday. I haven't done that yet. It's getting easier. I'm starting to remember the voices that I use and making a little bit less mistakes, so it doesn't take me forever to edit.
Yeah, the more I mean, if you do keep up with it, then like you won't forget the voices. But if you like go a month or two between recording them, then you're gonna forget all the voices you did.
Yeah, I had a big break between I think chapters 4 and 5.
Yeah,
And we got busy. We got WonderCon and everything else, and yeah, it was several months before I got back into it.
yeah.
But now I'm getting into the good parts of my book, so it's even more fun for me to do.
Fortunately, due to work, I didn't get to have a very super nerdy week because I was just like either working or so tired I couldn't do anything. Spent a lot of time in my hot tub this week, just trying to relax my muscles so that I could be good for the next day. But I did. I played EverQuest. I always play EverQuest because that doesn't take a whole lot of energy. But this coming week, on EverQuest, there's this big event that they do. It's like an annual event they do every year. It's a big fundraiser called Extra Life.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, they raise money to help like sick children and stuff like that, and like kids that are like dying of different, diseases.
Yeah, Extra
like,
Life's huge in the gaming world.
Yeah, and they do this big thing for EverQuest where they'll, for like 3 months leading up to it, they'll be raising money for Extra Life, and then depending on how much money they raise, as of November 5th, which is Tuesday, this buff goes live in the game that gives you like the higher the money that gets raised, the higher the tier the buff gets. And they've gotten it, I think, almost to max, which is like 200% bonus experience, like 175% bonus loot dropping. So like now the boss is like, you kill a boss and instead of it dropping like 8 items, it's gonna drop like
This entire loot table.
it can drop. Well, no, because like on this server, it's randomized loot where they could drop loot from. They're all in different buckets. Like 4 or 5 different bosses will all be in the different buckets, so they can drop loot from any of those 4 or 5 bosses. And but it's like instead of like 8 pieces of loot, it'll drop like anywhere from like 20 to 28 pieces of loot each. And I do not envy the people who do loot in my guild, because we'll kill like 7 or 8 bosses a night And that's a lot of loot. So much loot to try and bid out, pass out. But it's just going to be like a big old loot pinata. The experience is going to be off the charts. So, like, everybody's going to be maxing out their characters for the next expansion. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
So, we've been kind of building up to that. And plus, I mean, it's an awesome charity. So, like, we all, like, everyone in my guild really gets into it and does what they can to promote it and try and help with it. And
Yeah, if you were curious about it, look
just for the loot.
at Twitch. It's all over the place on Twitch. Everyone's doing something for it.
Yeah, it's huge. A lot of different games are offering different things for it and stuff. So
The one
but
time
just
I
in
got...
EverQuest,
Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, just in EverQuest alone, we've almost hit the max goal, which is 150,000. So that's awesome.
That is
That's
great.
awesome.
I got
So-
asked to be a part of Extra Life once when I was a professional gamer. During that year, we had live stream. We live streamed for, I think, for 3 days straight.
Wow.
Yeah, doing our practice session and stuff like that. It was really, really cool. I don't remember how much we raised on it, but brought a lot of awareness, and it was a really, really good time. It was a lot of fun being involved in that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool event. I really get into it every year and stuff and help try and promote it and stuff. And we, yeah, it's really cool. I'm looking forward to reaping all the bonuses and stuff this next week. It's going to be busy, but we're going to go through it. Other than that, this week, on, what was it, Wednesday for trick-or-treating?
Thursday.
Thursday?
Thursday was Halloween.
Oh, yeah, Thursday. I had to work, obviously, and they told me I was going to get out in time because I wasn't going to have to stay for DG because we have another guy now. I ended up having to stay, but I got out in time to, like, go meet up with my family, finish the last half of trick-or-treating and stuff with them, and it was a blast.
I
It was
worked.
so much fun.
I worked that day and then spent Halloween night driving home.
I got to be dressed up as the FedEx man because I didn't have time to go home and change into anything, so I was just a FedEx man.
I found out that my family, or my two sisters that live near me, did something together, and they didn't bother telling me. That was awesome. I wouldn't have been able to make it, but yeah, and it made me really, really miss my kids being young because I loved taking them trick or treating more than anything.
Yeah, my little
That was
3-year-old,
a blast.
he dressed up as Blue from Blue's Clues, and he was so cute. He'd knock on all the doors, be like, trick or treat. Like, he didn't even care. He'd just, like, walk right into people, like, try and walk into people's houses and stuff. And, like, because, you know, like, around here, everybody was different. Like, some of them would invite you in and have, like, cookies and punch and stuff. And then some of them just had a bowl of candy. And, like, he didn't know. He just, like, oh, I must have to go in.
My son Tim, he would really get into his outfits, and he would do a little show for everybody when he was like 6 and 7 years old. It was the cutest thing. And Ivy being a little tiny thing. I remember one year she was a Care Bear, and it was, dear Lord, she got a lot of candy.
Yeah, my daughter was a Care Bear too. I was
Cutest thing on the planet.
I'm trying to instill into my kids that, you know, when I was a kid, the motto was the faster you move, the more candy you got.
Yep.
Nowadays, like we passed this one house that was playing. They had like a projector, and they were playing the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, on their garage door. And my kids were so fascinated by it, they just stopped and they're just like watching it. I'm like, guys, like candy, man, come on, let's go.
Let's go get that loot.
Let's go get. Don't forget your dad tax. You're gonna lose 10% right off the top.
I went trick or treating twice as a kid because my mom didn't like Halloween. She was one of those ones that locked us up in the house, wouldn't let us do anything.
What? Mm-hmm. I remember.
I made sure that that never happened with my kids. They got the full experience.
I love trick or treating. I would pull like 2 pillowcases every time. Every Halloween, I'd pull like 2 pillowcases full of candy.
I love checking the candy. I'm using air quotes here, checking my kids' candy. Oh, look at this. These Skittles. Oh, they don't look good. I'll throw them away later.
They look partially open. No, for me, I don't even. Now it's just straight dad tax.
Yep.
Listen, I had to walk you around. Dad tax, 10% off the top.
My choice.
My kids like to share with me though, so it's okay.
Oh yeah, Tim was very, very good at that. He likes sharing with Dad, and he did quite a bit. Ivy was a little more stingy.
My son Dyson, he will come up to me with candy, and he'd be like, "We can both share." He's so cute.
Yeah, I think he weaponized cuteness with that one.
Oh, definitely for sure. But
let's get into a little bit of news.
Let's do it.
They're actually making the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Oh, that's a video game.
It's a game. It
Okay.
looks so good. So they dropped a trailer for the new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind game, and it's like OG Power Rangers, but it's like Super Nintendo type style, and it's kind of like a Battletoads or a Double Dragon style, like the
Okay.
side scroller fighter games. Like, have you seen that new Shredder's Revenge game, the new
No.
Ninja Turtles game? Oh, it's on Game Pass, but it's like a new old school version of like Ninja Turtles 2 arcade style game, you know?
Hmm.
And this is the same way, but it's like the old arcade style side scroller fighter, but then when you get like there's certain levels where like you're like in the Zords and stuff and you're like it's almost like you're going forward and like shooting like old school style. You'd have to look at the trailer. It looks really cool. Like
One of my favorite games of all time from that era was Contra.
very similar. Like it seriously, like look at the trailer for this game and I guarantee you it'll hype you up because
I can't
it's like
stand
old
Power
school.
Rangers, but I might look at it. I might look
What?
this one up.
Power Rangers is
It's
amazing.
no secret. Not a fan.
Ah,
It was a little bit too cheesy for my taste. So, another news in video gaming. Nightingale developer Inflection shut down their UK studios, which was the ones that primarily built Nightingale, and they
Uh-oh.
plan to reconstruct their Canadian studio. So, they basically were in the article quoted saying that Nightingale did not have commercial success.
yeah, I can see that.
So,
I mean,
they still plan to update it, but it's not going to be anything new.
it was not bad, but it wasn't a great game either.
No, I think they dropped the ball on the premise of it. I like the crafting system of Nightingale. It was a little bit over complex because like your 90% of your building was dedicated to crafting benches and tables and stuff.
there was a lot of crafting, and I think they kind of went a little overboard on how many times you have to upgrade your benches and tables, but like it was definitely fun. Like I did enjoy the crafting, and I did enjoy, the process of upgrading and the process of, building everything. It's just like finding a lot of the stuff for the crafting was a pain.
Yeah,
Finding
the crafting part
recipes.
of it, the crafting side of it, I really liked. It was the everything else I was not a big fan of. The combat and playstyle was not. It felt dry.
The revamp was better. I liked the revamp a little. Like they made it a little easier. Like you could get guns quicker. Where like I don't know. I remember in the original, it seemed like you were halfway through the game before you ever even were able to make a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like the revamp, you kind of can do that a lot quicker.
I've thought about re-downloading it and giving it another shot, but we'll see.
The
I
revamp.
love survival games, so
I don't know how much. Like I don't know if I like the story. Like
yeah, the story was the worst part for me.
the story's just as bad in the revamp, though. It's just they make it a little bit more streamlined, but it's still like doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I got that too.
Like the whole weird little Fey dude, he just like he didn't make much sense. You could tell the whole time he was like trying to trick you in some way, but like you kept just going along with it, and
Yeah.
then it never really got anywhere. Like the whole like it never led to anything.
Yeah, he kind of just
got to this-
disappeared.
you kind of get to this main city of Nightingale, and then after that, it's just like running these dungeons over and over, like these same little dungeon things over and over, and that was the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very lackluster. The in-game is very, very important with a lot of these games. Way more than people think. Unlike RPGs where it's all about the process of getting to the end game. But MMOs in particular, it's all about end game. And survival games the same way. Like, well, they did a recent update with Conan. They got it to where you could romance your followers now, and they added dialogue to new followers. They added a whole lot to it. I was really, really interested in that.
I didn't see that one.
That was a big one they just recently did. Actually, let me see here.
The one I'm still the most excited for the full release is Enshrouded. That one still is my favorite out of all of them.
I am with you on that 100%. Let me see
And I'm
what
still
they do.
kind of looking forward to Path of Exile 2, but I think if I remember one of my friends was telling me that got delayed. It's not coming out in November anymore. It got delayed because they said that the game itself was ready, but there was issues with the servers, so they had to delay it.
Trying to find this new update info
For Conan?
Yeah, I saw it on Steam. It's everything they added to it was really, really cool. Anyway, it's called The Age of Heroes, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and they changed a few things about crafting that was really, really cool as well. Man, I wish I could find that right now. I should have been prepared. But anyway, it made me want to think about getting back into that game and playing it again.
Yeah, that game was a lot of fun. We played that one for quite a while. Like, we were on that one
Yeah.
for a while.
A hot minute, that's for sure.
Uh-huh. That one was fun. And now that you got that super PC over there that you can run servers on.
Yep, and a whole bunch of other things. Okay, here we go. Meatly, there's 2 new named followers that you can find, or companions. They have each have their own epic quest lines to do them. They're fully voiced characters, and they can become followers or companions.
And this is released already?
Yeah, it released last month.
And now are these followers on like the main island or the I remember there was like 3 different islands you can play on or something.
2 that were not. They had another one that was not a deal. An ad.
Like a player made.
Yeah, player made one. But they had 2 primary for the game.
Select it from the main game, so.
Yeah. And here's the big thing. So before your thralls, you could only put them on specific workstations, right? They were only 4. Now they have them as full living beings, basically, and they're in worker groups, and they will go from table to table in that. Like if they're a blacksmith, they'll hit up the smelter, the blacksmith table, and be assigned to each one of them.
You don't need to have one for each one?
Nope, no longer.
Oh, dude. You know how long I spent farming thralls to
And you get the benefits of it even if they're not at that table.
Right. That's awesome. You can have 1 instead of like 5.
And they actually gave them mechanics to where if your base gets attacked, some of them, depending on their personality, will succumb to panic and flee, while others will stand and protect you, depending on their personality traits.
I think that game would be really fun to play in a situation where there's like other people and you could actually like attack each other and stuff instead of like when we played it, we were all on the same team.
Yeah.
Like if we broke up into like squadrons and it was like 2v2v2 or something, like 6 of us playing, and we were like, that would be cool.
I think the problem what we had was that you were on more than us. You guys would just
I would have wrecked you all. I would have wrecked you all by myself.
Come with the full army, and we're only like level 20. Yeah. And the last thing I have in the news, I like this conversation though about about these type of games. I love them, but I'm not going to worry about the last part of news. What about that Pal World? I haven't seen anything about updates on that game at all.
There's been a ton of updates. They've added raids into the game. They've added like all kinds of stuff to that game. They've done tons of different hot fixes. Last I heard, like Nintendo was actually full out suing them now, though.
Oh yeah, big time.
And I don't know where that went. Like I haven't heard anything of it, so I don't know if they won or if they lost or like.
I don't think it's gone to trial yet. I think they're in negotiations at the moment.
I feel like there's so many games out there that take and borrow and steal from other games that like.
Yeah, but not that blatant. That was like in your face, blatant. Thank you. That was in your face stealing. From the way you capture them to naming, it was bad.
But the way that you used them was different. Like it wasn't the same as Pokemon.
Not in terms of like how you use your
the way you use them in battle and stuff.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that was different. Come on, you had to craft balls to capture them. You had to weaken them before you can capture them. The whole process, and throw this ball at them to capture them.
Yeah, but in that same respect, though, like, isn't that exactly how, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that works, too? Except instead of balls, they use cards?
Not necessarily, no. The weakening thing is not the point. It was actually the ball and the use of the ball that is Nintendo's primary point that they're getting at, and the naming conventions used.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of games out there that are like that, though. That you use balls to catch them.
Not as blatant as that one. Not as in-your-face copy of it.
True.
And I think that if Pal World was not near as popular as it was when it launched, Nintendo might have overlooked it.
Yeah. It was huge when it launched.
It's all about the money.
Phenomenon. It was like a phenomenon. And what Nintendo should have done, instead of being like, oh my gosh, we're going to sue you and we're going to take you guys out of business and ruin your life. What they should have done is just made their own game that was similar and people would have played it instead. Because
probably. It's Pokemon.
Official Pokemon Nintendo, people would have been all over, oh cool, this is like Power World except it's actual Nintendo and like cooler.
Right, like, exactly. I might have even played it. Heck, I mean, I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan.
Arceus is kind of similar in the open world aspect. but not quite. Like, I don't know.
There was some leaked specs about the Switch 2.
I saw that.
It's not as archaic as this original Switch. I mean, it's still nowhere near modern systems, even most handhelds, but it's a lot better.
Yeah, and the screen's a lot bigger.
Yeah, if what they leaked was true, then yes, it might be something that I would even consider buying.
Yeah, I don't understand. I love my Switch. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely love my Switch. It is one of my favorite systems I've ever owned.
I would rather get a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox One before that. I don't own any home consoles right now.
I have a PS5, and I think I've played my Switch more recently than my PS5.
Oh, you're a bigger Nintendo fan than I am.
Even though, like I said, there are more Nintendo games. I mean, there are some PlayStation games I need to play that I have not played yet. Like,
there's one PlayStation game that I really, really, really want to play, but I have not gotten. Now that they've released it for PC, I still want to buy it and play it. Maybe I should do that.
Which one?
We just talked about it recently too. It's where that when I was talking about my book idea last episode, where the robotic dinosaurs. Robotic dinosaurs that you fight against, female antagonist, not antagonist, but female.
Horizon?
Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. I played that game to death, beat it 3 times, and the sequel I've been wanting to play, but I never owned a PS5, so I never could. And they finally released it to PC.
There's another new one coming out. It's like Horizon Wild, the Wilds.
I thought that was
Wild.
The Wilds was an expansion to the first.
No, there's a new Horizon game coming out. I don't think what it's called. Let me Google it.
That's what. Yeah, because they have Horizon out on PC now, the Forbidden West, and I've been really, really, really tempted to buy that, but I didn't want to pay $60 for it. And with this beefy PC that I have, I could run it at full spec, and it has the Burning Shores expansion in it. I am really tempted to get that game.
What is it?
Hey, if anyone wants to gift me the game, by all means, the widget. I haven't played an action-adventure game since Zero Dawn.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not finding it immediately, but there's like Forbidden West, there's Zero Dawn, and
which was the first one?
Something Wilds. Yeah, there was something Wilds. Ugh.
There's a Lego version?
Yeah, what? There's a Lego version. there's
Lego Horizon Adventure. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the full version of what's it called? Mind Blank.
It happens to me all the time.
The one that we were just talking about, the one that we play.
Oh yeah. Enshrouded,
yes, the full version. Thank you. Full version of Enshrouded. I'm hoping that comes out sometime first quarter 2025.
They haven't really said anything about the official release on it yet. I know they've got another major update coming soon.
Do they? I thought the next major update was going to be the 1.0 release.
I haven't heard anything about that.
I could be wrong. I want it to be.
I am with you on that. I want that game in its entirety. Raise the max level above 25, make it 50. If they fill out that map, they could easily make it level 50. It's the only problem I have with that game is that you got max level too quick.
In Enshrouded?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the max level was only 25, and I think the max level in the main game is going to be more like 50 or 60. That's
what they hinted at was level 50.
All I know is if your brother is right about another upset this week, I'm going to lose it.
I don't want him to be right about this one either in our NFL picks.
Yeah, his brother, at the beginning of the week, his brother picked all these different upsets, and I was making fun of him for it, and so far he's been right on every single one.
He only picked one upset. That was just him picking it, and that was the New York Jets over Houston.
No, he's had a few of them. I swear.
Oh, Arizona over Chicago. Yep, that was the two that he did.
Yeah, he's got Arizona over Chicago. He's got
I'm looking at the pick sheet right now. The only upsets that he picked was New York Jets.
Jets over Houston. He's what, 11-2 right now for this week?
Yeah, 11-2, and he has been consistently in last place until now. Now, poor Rook is.
Oh yeah, because he picked Denver to upset Baltimore too. That was the one upset that he didn't get this week. New Orleans and Carolina could have went either way.
I don't really consider if 2 or 3 of us picked a team. I don't really consider that an upset because the Denver Baltimore we were split.
Which is weird because by all rights Baltimore should have trumped Denver. That shouldn't. Yeah. The fact that you guys picked Denver doesn't not make it an upset.
I didn't.
Because if Denver had won that game, it would have been an upset.
Me, you, and my dad picked Baltimore.
Yeah.
It was Jeremy, Eli, and Mike that picked Denver.
And Arizona beating Chicago, that was kind of an upset.
Like if
Seattle
if
versus the
2
Rams
out of the
was
6
annoying.
people pick a team and the other 4 pick it, that could be considered an upset. In that case, like Tennessee beating New England.
The fact that you were the only one that picked Green Bay over Detroit just kind
Yeah.
of makes me chuckle a little.
Never know. Could have happened.
That one wasn't happening.
Could have. It didn't. And there was odds were against it, but it could have. I've seen stranger things happen recently in football, trust me.
Oh, I know. Well, who was it? The Browns last week that won and shouldn't have?
Were the Bills almost getting beat by Miami today?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
it's so frustrating.
Miami's back at full strength now, though.
Doesn't matter.
Kind of. I don't know if their quarterback even knows he's on a football field, but the fact that he's playing boggles my mind. Like, that guy is, I'm sorry, dumb. He's 1 concussion away from being a vegetable the rest of his life, and he's like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. Let's play. Oh,
Well, that's pretty much it for the show.
yeah, I know. We're talking about football now, so
Yeah, we're getting all over the place.
Reached the end.
If you guys want to reach this show for business or other means or other like advertising on the show, for instance, podcastraw@gmail.com is our email. Our Twitter is @podcastraw, aka X. Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our Instagram
This is Raw Podcast 1.
and our Discord, the place to be. If you want to reach out to us directly or listen into some live shows and things like that, we've been recording Starfield Raw live lately. Go ahead and do that. Discord.gg/Raw Podcasts. RAWPODCASTS. You can follow us individually as well. I am at The Widget, THEWIGIT, on everything. If you can't find it, search it, you'll find it.
And you can find me on pretty much all social media as The Archon 606. And you can find me on most gaming sites as Quick, QWICK_D_606.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and have a fantastic nerdy week.
Have a great week, guys.